Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Madam Secretary, great to see you and your team here. You won't be surprised, I'm going to ask you some questions about the Chesapeake Bay, and specifically, I want to thank you for your leadership and support and assistance from the National Park Service as we work to establish the Chesapeake National Recreation Area, which would highlight the cultural, historic, and ecological significance of what is a national and natural treasure, the Chesapeake Bay. I'm excited about the ongoing discussions. Congressman Sarbanes and I and other members of the delegation from Maryland and other Virginia as well have been reaching out to stakeholders, and we appreciate the technical support that we've received from your team, including Wendy Sullivan, of course, the director of the Chesapeake Bay Office of the National Park Service. I would just ask you for your continuing commitment to work with us as we plan on introducing this legislation.
Absolutely, we support you on this, and thank you for recognizing that our help has been our technical assistance has been helpful to you.
It has been, and as you know, you've testified to it today. It's in your written remarks, at least, that we're all trying to do more with less staffing. So anything you can do to fully engage your team in this effort, we're trying to get this introduced in the coming weeks and months. And again, we appreciate all the efforts. I know that you've got staffing vacancies. In fact, as I understand it, the National Park Service has lost roughly 29% of its staff from 2010 to 2020. We're talking about thousands of employees. What are your plans to help fill that gap? Let me just give you one other local example. The Chesapeake and Ohio Canal National Historic Park has seen an 85% increase in visitation over the last 15 years, with a roughly 50% decrease in staff. So that's one example. What are your plans to try to restaff the National Park Service?
Thank you, Senator. And we absolutely realize that this is an issue. Our budget includes $148.3 million across the National Park Service to support more than 1,100 additional full-time equivalents. That would strengthen critical functions. This includes funding to build park capacity, address critical operating responsibility at park units in Maryland. I know that I just came from Yellowstone, and there's always an issue with housing too. You know, well, you probably saw the video of one of their the staff housing floating into the river after the flood. So I know that housing is an issue for National Park Service staff as well. And so we're taking all these things into consideration and really trying to find solutions to make sure that we can have the folks where we need them.
Well, we look forward to working with you. I know the chairman and I think ranking member as well would like to see the National Park Service, adequately staffed and continue to recruit skilled and talented folks.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you about the Chesapeake Gateways and Trails program. This helps provide technical and financial assistance to the Bay watershed, and we work to engage communities across the Chesapeake Bay regarding conservation and important recreational opportunities, including better access to the Chesapeake Bay. The program is part of laying the groundwork toward that larger effort that I mentioned, which is to make the Chesapeake Bay a unit of the National Park Service. Right now, this program, the Gateways program, we've been successful at getting the annual appropriations, but it is not yet authorized. Would you, as the Secretary, support authorizing that program on an ongoing basis?
For the Gateways Trails program, our budget includes $3 million, and of course, we support that. We love all our outdoor spaces, and we'll do whatever we can to help.
Well, we appreciate that. I will be working with the the chairman and others. I mean, this is the Appropriations Committee, but we're working with the authorizers to get that fully authorized. But we appreciate the fact that that's in your budget. There is one important item regarding the Bay that's not included in your budget. It's called the Chesapeake Wild Program. It was a piece of legislation that I worked on with Senator Capito on a bipartisan basis. It was included in the larger piece of legislation a number of years ago, and it authorizes the Fish and Wildlife Service's ongoing participation. That was not included in your budget appropriation request. Can you assure us that you'll work with this committee to make sure the Fish and Wildlife Service continues to remain engaged? We'll be pressing for the continued appropriation, in fact, an increased appropriation for that.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful program. There was $4 million available for these grants that was funded through the 2022 appropriation. We know that it funds, supports locally driven conservation, which is, it's very important. So thank you, yes. I think the goals of this program are consistent with the administration's move to ensure that we're conserving these spaces for Americans.
Thank you. While I have you here, I also just want to mention the important role that the U.S. Geological Service plays within the overall Bay program. For example, the USGS Eastern Ecological Science Center has provided us important information regarding migratory birds and other native and native species as well at the Patuxent Research Refuge in Laurel, Maryland. Do you have any thoughts on how we can increase the collaborative efforts with respect to the U.S. Geological Service as part of the Bay effort?
I'll make sure that they reach out to all of you. Absolutely. And yes, thank you for recognizing how important the USGS is to the work that we do. We're happy to work with you. If you'd like me to have someone reach out to your staff, we can do that soon.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, and thank you for all your good work.
Thank you as well. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.